Hi, my name is Jeremy, and welcome to Lesson 1. To begin with, we're going to go over some basics to prepare you for the lessons that are to come. So let's start by reviewing our handsets. I want to make sure that you are familiar with all the buttons and controls on your hand controllers. So the first set of buttons I want to bring to your attention are on the insides of your controllers on the grip handles, and we call these the grip buttons. These are the buttons that you're going to use to navigate, and they're also the buttons that you're going to use to pick objects up. The second set of buttons that I want to bring to your attention are on the top back side of your controllers, and we call these the trigger buttons. So these buttons, kind of like the trigger of a gun, are the buttons that you're going to use to select things from your menus, and you're also going to use those to paint and draw. All right, on your non-dominant hand, so for me that's my left hand, there's two buttons I want you to be aware of. The first button is this button with the shapes on it. We call that the shapes button. And then this button is the hamburger menu, the button with the three lines on it. I'll be referring to those a lot throughout the lessons, so familiarize yourself with those buttons and learn where they are. They're on your non-dominant hand. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to cover four things. We're going to cover how to bring objects into ShapesXR, how to navigate, how to pick objects up, and how to delete them. And that's all we're going to do for lesson 1. All right, so to bring a shape into ShapesXR, we're going to access the Shapes button. So push your Shapes button. You'll see this row of icons here, and we're going to choose this second icon. To select that icon, we're going to use our trigger button. So we point at the icon, pull the trigger, and here's our menu of shapes that we can bring into our project. To scroll through the menu, you point at the menu and you just move your thumbstick up and down to scroll. These icons at the bottom, these are different categories of shapes that you can bring into your project. So we're going to go back over here to this first icon and we're going to bring a basic cube into the environment. There are several different ways that you can bring a shape into your project, but I'm going to show you the first way, and we'll cover the other ways as we continue on with the lessons. So to bring this shape in, I'm going to use my grip button. So I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to point at the cube, and then using my grip button, I'm just going to grab it and bring it into the environment. It's that simple. That's how you bring shapes in to ShapesXR. So you just point at the one you want and use your grip button to bring those in. All right, so now that we have some objects in our space to give us some scale, let's talk about navigation. So we're going to use our grip buttons to navigate. So to move in the space, I'm going to reach one hand forward, hold down on the grip button, and then pull myself, almost like I'm pulling myself along a rope. And then I'm going to reach my left hand forward, and I'm going to do the same thing. So think of your grip buttons kind of like ski poles. You can walk yourself through the environment. I can also use both my grip buttons at the same time to rotate myself. So if I hold both grip buttons at the same time and move my hands around each other, I can rotate in the environment. Also, I can use these grip buttons to scale myself. So if I hold both grip buttons at the same time and I pull my hands apart, you'll see that number in front of me getting smaller. That's the size of me, not the size of the environment. So if I make the number really small, that means I'm small and the environment's big. If I make the number big, go up to like 2,000, that means I'm big and the environment's small. So a little key, the bigger you are, the faster you can move around the environment. So that's basic navigation. All right, to pick up an object, once you've brought it into the environment, you just reach out and you touch it. And you notice when I touch an object, it highlights blue. You'll also feel the haptics in your controller. So touch a cube, touch an object, and then using your grip button, you're just going to grab it and pick it up. Very easy to pick things up. Now, after a while, you've got a few things in your project. How do you delete objects? Very simple. We just pick them up, and with a flick of our wrist, we just toss them in the air. It's that easy. All right, before we say goodbye, there's just a couple other housekeeping things I want to take care of, and then we'll conclude. So every time you come back into ShapesXR to restart your tutorial, you'll have to re-access your video player, and you're going to do that on your non-dominant hand by pushing that little education button. That will bring up your video menu. You can choose whatever video you were on, and you can start where you left off. Also, we have preloaded some assets into this program for you to use throughout the lessons. And I just want to show you real quickly where you can access those assets. You're going to find those by clicking your Shapes button, choosing your Shapes menu, And coming down here to the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to click on that. And this is your import menu. And this is where you're going to find all the elements that you're going to need for these tutorials. You should also be aware that those assets are only available to you when your video is pulled up. So if you come into a space, you don't see your assets, just go back to that little education button, bring up the video player, and then you'll be able to find your assets. Now on the Shapes.app panel, you can import your own OBJ, JPEGs, and PNGs. So once you're done with this lesson, I encourage you to add a personal touch to your space. So just head over to Shapes.app and import your own assets. Once your assets are uploaded, you come back to ShapesXR, and you're going to find those assets in the very same place that you find the preloaded assets for these tutorials. All right, that's it for lesson 1. We'll see you in lesson 2.